Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien sitting in for Paul Harvey this morning. Stand by for a special commentary. Well, my good old pal on YouTube, Mr. Brad Dyson, posted one of Paul Harvey's favorite commentaries on his YouTube channel this morning. What is it to be a policeman? And of course, this was done in the 70s or 60s because of the terms that he used. So I'm saying late 60s because of the terms that Mr. Paul Harvey was using at the time. Like pig, that's a 60s term. And he described a policeman like a normal people would. You should listen to that one in there. But a policeman is different than a law enforcement agent, which I was. It's still in the same category of policing, but we have totally different jobs. My job as a deputized federal agent was to go get bad guys. A policeman, that's not his most important job. His most important job is, like his name implies, policing. And he has to be, like Mr. Harvey and Mr. Dyson, I'm sure knows, a little of everything. He has to be sainter than a saint and cleverer than the devil in order to get his man. And his major job is not going after bad guys. His major job is making sure that the laws of the country, the state, or the city, in his whichever case he's doing. For a city policeman, it's the laws of the city, with the other two laws of the state and the federal government in the background. But the city laws are to be enforced and acted upon. When I was a little kid in the 60s, I had what you call corner policemen. And they would sit there in the corner looking at everybody, and everybody would look at them, and most people would shun them because, hey, a policeman in his accoutrements, that means power. And that's the thing that's been since the late 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, 10s, and 20s. A lot of people that wear that uniform thinks that that uniform and badge means power. It does not mean power, but they take it as such. Therefore, you come with the atrocities that have been mentioned over the decades, like Officer Showman with Mr. Floyd in Minnesota a few years ago. Yeah, that's an atrocity. And mind you, policemen's bad apples are everywhere. But oddly enough, they're less on the policeman's ranks than, say, a clergyman. Okay? Now, policing has been around for a long time. Every society needed some sort of policing. Egyptians had their policing. It was their scribes had the title of policing the public for the pharaoh. So they used religion as a policing mechanism. The Romans in Rome had a special type of policing. They would get people there and make sure that they were adhering to the Roman laws. They were called the Vigilees. But unfortunately, their type developed into what we call today vigilantes. Because they took their power coming from the emperor, just like today's American policemen and other policemen in other countries take their power coming from the badge. And that they have assuming power in that. In the Middle Ages, you had what you call today sheriffs that policed an area. Not a city, but an area. And the most noticed one of these is the Sheriff of Nottingham. Remember him? Yeah? Well, he was supposed to be policing the area of Nottingham for King John. But the Sheriff of Nottingham thought that that meant power for him, and he went accordingly. He wasn't a nobleman, but he acted like he was at the right hand of King John, which King John probably looked at him and said, "You're just one of those little suckers over there that's supposed to be policing my realm." Yeah. Henry had the same thing. He had sheriffs. And in France, you developed inspectors. Same thing. Clouseau. You know. Yeah. But Americans, policemen, when I was a kid, like I said, he was in the corner in the canal zone. And in most towns in the U.S., in the 20s and 30s and 40s, you saw those with the little whistle. Yeah, you know, they're Star Trek. Remember, they did a thing where they went back to the 1920s with Gene Collins, her of that's where she got her fame there, and then she went on to do another show in the 80s. But anyway, she played Miss Keeler there. But when they got to the 1925 Earth, they were trying to steal clothes, and this policeman came out, and he was ringing this thing. Goes back to the English bobbies. You see old movies with the English bobbies like Jack the Ripper, and, they get that, and they start with their whistles bringing back, "Hey, we need some help here." Yeah. That's what a policeman is. I had the misfortune when I was about 12. I crossed the crosswalk without looking at the light. And I only got 5 steps, and I heard that whistle. And there's the policeman right behind me saying, "Son," and he's pointing the finger like, "Get back here." So I got back here, and he says, "You see that over there?" I looked up, "Yes, sir." "What color is it?" "Red." "And you went in there anyway." "That is called jaywalking, son." "Yes, sir." What color do you want it to be?" "Oh, green, sir." "So that means you walk in green." "And what do you do at yellow?" "You stay here, sir, because you don't know when it's going to turn red." "Ah, good answer, son. Now make sure I don't see you again doing that again anywhere around the canal zone. I'm all over the place. I'm not just here. You won't see me, but I'll see you." And that was my first indoctrination to a policeman. So you see, Mr. Harvey had it right. And a policeman has to be everything. He has to be a little bit of God. He has to be a little bit of devil. He has to be a little bit of your partner. a little bit of a community-oriented person, everything, to safeguard the safety of the citizens that he is watching. He is a watcher. He only acts when the citizens stray from the line that's put out there by the doctrine, otherwise known as laws, and statutes and ordinance. That gives a policeman the right and the power, not the badge and not the uniform. But in the centuries since the policeman started in the Middle Ages, people have come to think that the policeman, you put on the badge and the uniform and you are the Green Lantern or Superman or something like that, that you are one step above the rest of the fray, which you're not. You're just there to protect the fray. When are you going to learn that? Thus today, you see policemen killing people, which they shouldn't do because their job is to police. But you have, in turn, other powers to the police in the last centuries, especially the last 3, where now they carry arms. But they were taught when they carried arms at the beginning to, you try to make the person that's committing a crime disable them. But now they forget about the disabling and they go into killing, which is not a policeman's realm. That's a military realm. Killing should only be done by a military personnel who was trained to kill because it's war. You don't even understand that either. But that's a different story. A policeman is trained to keep order and keep justice. And he's supposed to be everything, like I said, from God to devil. And keep his family satisfied on the meager wages he gets paid for a job that requires a yeoman to do. Because unlike other jobs, a policeman has all kinds of responsibilities, both written and unwritten. And this is what Paul Harvey was trying to say, and Mr. Bride Dyson is trying to tell you in today's structure. But of course, you got watermelons for brains as Americans, and you don't hear Mr. Harvey, you don't hear Mr. Brad Dyson, and you definitely don't hear me. My hat's off to the good policemen of this country, and there's a lot of them. More than you think. Too bad they're not getting paid accordingly, because they sacrifice a lot for the beings of the people who don't even acknowledge them as such. This is your favorite alien, sitting in for Paul Harvey and Mr. Bride Dyson, my pal on YouTube. Good day.